What? Did you think I was going to use the same music for book 2? Come on, I've got 8 music tracks, 1 for each book, and they're even themed to the books as well. So, it's time for The Way of Tiger, book 2. Here we go. I am Ninja. My parents are the heaven and the earth. My home is my body. My power is loyalty. My magic is training. My life and my death is breathing. My body is control. My eyes are the sun and the moon. My ears are sensitivity. My laws are self-protection. My strength is adaptability. My ambition is taking every opportunity with fullness. My friend is my mind. My enemy is carelessness. My protection is right action. My weapons are everything that exists. My strategy is one foot in front of the other. My trust is in quad. My way is the way of the tiger. Hello everybody, I'm Raphael Perry, and it's time for some more Way of the Tiger. And if this introduction is a little bit awkward, there's 2 reasons for that. First reason, this is my 5th attempt, because I have a bit of a sore throat, and the first 4 times I tried to record the introduction, it came out terribly. And I was having to clear my throat loudly, grind, grunt, make very frustrating sounds, and I may have to do that again later throughout the episode. Who knows? The second reason this introduction might feel a little bit awkward is because you know what the episode title is. I know what the episode title is. There was never any doubt that the title of this episode would be anything other than this. And if you're familiar with the series, and this book in particular, you know exactly what the episode title means. And if you don't, look forwards to finding out. I might be guilty of enjoying this episode a little bit too much until we get to section 281, which won't... It can spell the death knell of a good playthrough. Look, I can't die in section 281, but I can die because of section 281. So, in the last episode, we fought the brigands on the road and actually made it through completely unscathed. The only thing we lost was a point of inner force. We held on to our shuriken because we didn't throw it at the Goblin King, we didn't throw it at the brigands. I'm almost definitely 100% going to throw it in this episode. And yes, I could use the Sunstar ring with the activation word of Rahelios instead of a throwing star. But I'm also pretty much 100% going to use both. In which case I need to use the throwing star first for maximum possible advantage and use out of the second activation. Which does come after section 281, which combined can mean going into a very hard fight with very low chance of survival. Hey, and if we'd taken any damage fighting the brigands, we would be in an even worse shape than that. So, after our tussle with the fake outlaws, who as we know were disguised soldiers of the Legion of the Sword of Doom, you walk on, and towards the end of the day enter the valley of the Crow River. And of course I get a little burp then, oh well. The meadows are full of asphodel and roses. You make your way down towards the large river which flows west towards the endless sea.
The fertile land at the edge of the river is strip-farmed. Each peasant pays a part of his crop to his lord for the right to a thin strip of land, in some cases only 5 yards across. That's a medieval custom that, yeah, was also used in the Far East. It was used in loads of parts. It's literally plots of land, right? You purloin the breeches and jerkin of a peasant, which you find lying on a rock to dry in the sun. Then you walk briskly along the towpath towards the city of Harif to join the influx of farmers seeking the safety of... not the safety of excitement. Let's just go back an entire, sentence and a bit, okay? You purloin the breeches and jerkin of a peasant, which you find lying on a rock to dry in the sun. Then you walk briskly along the towpath towards the city of Harif to join the influx of farmers seeking the safety or excitement of the city at the end of the day's toil. At the great gate, a single guard in black armour stands stock still, impassive, in the centre of the street. He bears no token or to give a clue as to which god he serves, but he lets you pass. Beyond the gate is a small stone building which flies the green and white flag. Your professional interest is aroused by a piece of weathered parchment nailed to a board outside, and you realise what is wrong with this illustration. It shows us both the guard and the sign. The sign is behind the guard, inside town. Wait. Beyond the gate is... it's not just... he's not standing outside the building, so he shouldn't be in the same picture unless he's got his back turned to us. Or we've walked into town and he's turned around to keep an eye on us instead of the vast crowds of people waiting to get through. I'm actually going to read this from the picture so that you guys can see it. Head money. 400 pieces of gold and an elixir of rejuvenation for each of the heads of Tyuchev, Cassandra, Thaum, and Olvar, the Chaos Bringer, murderers and reverencers of Anarchil, corrupter of the family bond, who did, on the 47th day of Grim Weird in the last cycle, kill Aurora, high priestess of the immaculate sect of the Illustran priesthood. The priestesses of Illustra offer their blessings and 20 pieces of gold to anyone who may bring these villainous traitors to justice. So we got a bounty, 400 gold each, that's 1600 total for these 4 murderers, and a 20 gold reward for giving information. You pause in thought, then remember that you killed a barbarian warrior who called himself Olvar the Chaos Bringer in Fortune Pass on the way to Quenchheart Keep. We could enter the building or pass on by. I shall enter the building. Now, experienced players who are familiar with this adventure might say, maybe if we stay outside and don't enter the building, no one will see us go inside. If we don't go inside, the events that follow will play out the same regardless. So inside we shall go for story and understanding and, settlement familiarization, knowledge. Ignore that picture that just flashed past. You'll be seeing it again soon enough. You know it. Ha ha ha. 3 priestesses and a warrior guard, all dressed in green and white, stand up as you enter. The guard's sword hisses from its sheath, but one of the priestesses, a white-haired woman with bones so fine she looks elfin, welcomes you. You tell them that you killed a man named Olvar the Chaos Bringer and describe him to them. The priestess looks interested, and for some reason, in the French editions with the colour illustrations, the priestess, white-haired woman with bones so fine she looks elfin, is ginger, without a single white hair on her head. And her name's on the picture, so they can't claim it was anyone else. He wore us... Oh, sorry, she's an old woman. Let's see. He wore a circlet which bore a blue gem on his forehead. Do you have it? You shake your head, and the priestess goes on. One Northern barbarian looks very like another. If it was truly he, we thank you, but we may not be so generous with the goddess's tribute as to hand you reward money without proof. Indeed, there was a third person present in the hut with us, a warrior magician who threatened to kill us and literally drew his sword and attacked us to fight to the death over Olvar the Chaosbringer's magical circlet of blasting with a blue gem in it. We were not able to keep it. You decide to let it pass and ask what about the other traitors mentioned on the board. The priestess presses her lips together, grim-faced, and says, rather than said, they came to Harif, banished from Wargrave Abbas for similar atrocities. They worship the insane chaos god Anarkil, and their only sport is wanton killing. They received the help of the Temple of Anarkil here in the city, and were audacious enough to desecrate our temple and kill the saintly Aurora in her own cathedral. Thaum is a master of illusion, though through his trickery they escaped to the Man March. If what they say is true, I am surprised that you found Olvar alone. They were said to be inseparable. Perhaps the goddess has taken her revenge on the others. Would that it were so. You decide to leave now, before they can ask you what business brings you to Harif. Now, before we go any further, I should obviously bring up the point of Thaum's name. Thaum is obviously an abbreviation of thaumaturgist or thaumaturgy, and as such you would expect it to be produced form, as indeed many fans have done, myself included over the years. However, when I met Jamie Thomson a few years back at Fighting Fantasy Fest, about 4 years ago, he pronounced the character's name Thaum. And here's the thing. This isn't just some random combination of letters that was chucked together. Cassandra, Tyuchev and Thaum were all player characters in their original role-playing campaign. And so I'm going to respect the way that Thaum's player originally pronounced it in a way that I have difficulty pronouncing Gaiak as Giak in Lone Wolf, despite, I believe, Joe Deaver at one point coming out and saying it's pronounced Giak. I'm like, okay, well, maybe if they're all Geordies or really weak, they're like, oh, the Giaks are coming. Whereas if you can imagine, something like, the Gaiaks are coming. That, Gaiaks sound dangerous, they sound strong, they sound like they're going to mess you up. Giaks just sound like they're going to go a bit and be rubbish, which could actually be appropriate for Gaiaks in a way. But anyway, back here, we decide to leave before the priestesses and the guard can ask what brings us to Harif See the Crow. The city is large and flourishing, but a surprising number of young urchins, almost without clothes, run about the street in gangs. You notice that they are adept at keeping out of people's way. As you walk briskly through the busy streets, hoping to find a tavern where you may learn about ports on the endless sea, a sudden flare of light catches your eye. A wizened old woman bends over a battered cart which has lost its wheels and been turned upside down to serve as a shop counter. On the boards lie a great many unusual things, some which she claims to be the internal organs of exotic beasts such as a chimera or hippogriffs. Useful in magical rites. But let's do it again. On the boards lie a great many unusual things, some which she claims to be the internal organs of exotic beasts such as chimera or hippogriffs. Useful in magical rites. Now, I've done it again. Because the useful in magical rites is a continuation of unusual things. It's not a separate... Right. Let's have another go at it. Scansion is important. It affects meaning. On the boards lay a great many unusual things, some which she claims to be the internal organs. What is an internal organ? Okay. On the boards lay a great many unusual things, some which she claims to be the internal organs of exotic beasts, such as chimerae or hippogriffs, useful in magic. The problem is that, because of my asthma, I really needed to take a breath after hippogriffs. So what if I do it earlier? Things. I'll try that. Or maybe internal organs. On the boards lay a great many unusual things, some which she claims to be the... I'm running out of breath. Okay. On the boards lay a great many unusual things. Some, which she claims to be the internal organs of exotic beasts, such as chimerae or hippogriffs, useful in magical rites, look more like sheep's offal to you, but the sudden flare of light is unmistakable. The old witch is selling flash powder at 5 gold pieces a bag. If you have enough gold and wish to buy some, you may do so. We have expended our flash powder in the previous adventure, and we do have 15 gold pieces which would allow us to purchase free. I think what I'll do is spend 5 to gain 1 bag of flash powder, and that gives me 10 gold pieces to spend on other items in the future. As you examine her wares further, a sudden tornado seems to start up around you, scattering the old crone's curiosities, and coloured lights explode before your eyes, leaving you momentarily stunned. Don't know if we were hit on the head and, whirled around a lot by some people, or if some kind of magic is in effect. You recover in a few moments, and you feel inside the leather jerkin which you now wear. The scrolls of Kettsuin are gone. Whirling about, you see a tall man with very curly hair, dyed a bright corn yellow, contrasting with the shadowy sable cloak which he wears, walking away through the crowd. They seem to melt away from him. He is far from inconspicuous, and you follow at a run, but he disappears suddenly. He has turned invisible. Your keen huntsman's hearing picks up the sound of his footsteps as he moves down a back alley at a run, and you follow. The action has begun. The hunt is on, as Sherlock Holmes would say. Remember I said we'd come back to this picture? We've come back to it. The tall thief's footprints in the dust show you the way he has passed through the maze of back streets, and you can hear him... Back streets, boys are back. No, they're not. Shut up. Right. The tall thief's footprints in the dust show you the way he passed through the maze of back streets, and you can hear him panting lightly as a great stone edifice comes into view before you. He runs towards its forbidding bulk, and you see that it is a great church with tall circular towers around the outside of which spiral staircases twine like great serpents. Snake-headed gargoyles with gaping mouths threaten the street below. You see the door to a stable move slightly, and you dart in past the whinnying horses, where you are in time to see a trapdoor shutting behind some sheaves of barley stalks. You leap over the straw and listen carefully at the trapdoor. The sound of 2 sets of receding footsteps suggests it is safe to open the door, and you drop down to a damp stone stairway below. The stairs lead downwards and in the direction of the forbidding church. Narrow shafts lead up to skylights at intervals, and the man you are silently following becomes visible once more, running beside a man in a flowing grey robe. They run out into a large lit cellar and around a corner. You follow stealthily until the sound of a door slamming shut and a bolt-driven home stops you in your tracks. Looking round, you see an unusually handsome young woman dressed in a bizarre patchwork of armour. Her face is hard and she looks contemptuous. She has shut and barred a heavy oak door across the bottom of the damp staircase. It seems that rather than fleeing from you, she has trapped you. Your fame is spreading across the land, ninja. It is a shame for you that you met a friend of ours in Fortune Pass. Olvar, a kind and gentle barbarian from the northern lands. She smiles as the 2 men whom you had been chasing step into sight at the other end of the cellar. The tall thief with the yellow hair stands beside a magician who bears Kabbalistic signs on his flowing grey robes and wears a large gold earring in one ear. As you look into their callous eyes, you feel that they could not summon up a drop of kindness between them. The woman tells you that her name is Cassandra. The others must be the men mentioned with her on the board near the gate, Tyuchev and Thaum, who, with all the other man you had killed when he attacked you mindlessly in Fortune Pass, murdered Aurora, the high priestess at the cathedral to Illustra. Cassandra says that they are going to take their revenge for Alvar's death. Tyuchev draws a two-handed sword from behind his back as Cassandra bears her longsword. Do you protest, saying that you have never killed anyone in your life? They're not going to believe that. Look, they're cold-blooded killers. They're not even going to care, right? Hurl a shuriken if you have one at one of them. Use some other item or attack Cassandra. Well, before committing to a blatantly throw the ninja star at the wizard, just saying it now, just to get that clear so that when I do it, it won't come as a complete surprise and it won't seem like I spent forever being indecisive, but I will explain my reasoning when the time comes. Let's take a little moment to talk about these three villains. Cassandra, Tyuchev and Thaum are a trio of villains who appear in not one, but I think 4 or 5 gamebook series. Let's see. They're most prominent in The Way of the Tiger. They are also in Talisman of Death in the Fighting Fantasy series. Then there is the Duel Master series, where Thaum is tucked away in the arena in Book 1. The arena in Book 1 of Duel Master is the same arena from Book 1 of Way of the Tiger, but a much more high magic version with lots of teleportation around between different areas and the audience getting to wizards projecting magical scryings for the audience to watch. Then there's an interactive fiction series, I think like a science fiction series, something to do with, I think the word Falcon appears in the title, that they appear in. And I think there's a 5th one where they appear as well. These are the kind of villains that a GM loves to have in their game. They think, they plan, they execute their plans, they have contingencies for if their plans go wrong, they work together like a team, they look after each other, they don't suicidally fight to the death, they do care about their own survival, and if something unforeseen disrupts their plan that they have not accounted for, they know how to improvise and make their escape. Why? Because they were player characters. Probably. I should have probably said that later on in the episode, but I'm getting it out of the way now. Before going any further, they are the kind of characters that you love to hate. They make great returning villains. And they're honestly an honour to have in the game. They're very enjoyable. Let us continue. So we're going to throw our last throwing star at one of them. Now, oh, something else, right? When they robbed me in the marketplace, we don't know if they particularly targeted the scrolls of Kettsuin because they knew those were the most important thing to us, or if they just stole something at random to get our attention. Next up, do I think Thaum was in the marketplace casting a spell on us, and that he retreated with Tyuchev? and turned Tyuchev invisible. My initial impression is that no, Thaum was not in the marketplace, and that rather Tyuchev physically assaulted us, like just spinning us round, grabbing us with his hands, rummaging through all our pockets and everything until he grabbed the thing he needed. This whirlwind of activity knocked everything off the cart. He was just being very rough to keep us off balance and get us confused, right? Then, as he walks away, he is visible. He makes himself very visible. And the reason I'm thinking this is because this was either like purple box or first edition, right? Which means that magical potions had an onset time and did not react immediately when drank. A potion would take effect 2 to 5 rounds after being consumed. Therefore, that's one of the reasons why you wouldn't drink a potion in the middle of a fight, especially because you could get hit and drop the potion, it could smash, you'd lose your potion, right? And also, if you get hit, what was the point of having healing when you get hit for what could be a greater or a smaller amount? It would negate it a bit, right? You would heal after a fight rather than in it. The same also applies to healing spells, actually, which could be disrupted because there was no concentration skills. So, I'm thinking he stole from us, drank a potion as he started walking away, so that there would be enough time for us to see him. I think he wanted to be seen. He wanted us to follow him. These 3 know I am a ninja, even though I'm in disguise. They can tell this. They might have been... Thaum may have been using spells to scry for me for some time now. And I think they know about the scrolls of Kettsuin. But they don't care about them. They only want to kill me for the audacity of defending my life against Alvar the Chaos Bringer and managing to put an end to his wicked ways. They only used the scrolls to lure me into their trap. As we will later discover, they don't want to keep them. They don't care about them. They don't, if they know about the scrolls of Kettsuin, they know about Honoric, Mance, and Yaemon, and their plan. And these 3 don't want to carry out that plan. They don't care. They just want to get their revenge. So now let's throw a throwing star. If you have one of them. I have exactly one. At a person. Tyuchev and Cassandra are advancing upon you from either side, while Thaum begins to mutter a spell. Which one of them will you send your throwing star towards? Cassandra, who is wearing armour, Tyuchev, who has a 2-handed sword, or Thaum, who is casting an unknown spell? It's 3 against 1. We can't afford to discover what that spell is going to be. Hit the squishy. We throw our last remaining ninja star at the wizard. Because whatever he's going to do is not going to be good for us, and it could change the entire fight. These 2 are dangerous as it is, right? Your throwing star whirs from your hand and embeds itself in the magician's arm. He falls to the damp floor of the cellar, his spell lost, but he is soon struggling to his feet again. Incidentally, your natural cunning, cleverly attacking the magician before he could cast his spell, will stand you in good stead if you live. If! You may add 1 to the attack modifier of your choice. Now. Punch or kick. I'm not sure throw or throw even. I already have a +1 kick modifier. Adding another one would make my kicks very reliable. However, my defense when I am targeted by opponents will vary based on the attack move that I used. Some attacks will make me more vulnerable to certain opponents depending on their combat training or what they're familiar with, or the position I may end up in after the attack. So it would be useful to have a punch modifier as well. So I'm going +1 punch. So I can vary it up a bit. And also, Yeah, because there are some fights where kicking may leave me exposed. For instance, the Quan's flail kick can leave me almost with my back turned to the opponent. It's a spinning kick. Whereas punching might keep my arms up near my body where I can block and protect myself a bit more and be in deflect and dodge. Thaum props himself up, looking at the blood that is forming a large brown patch on his robes. Cassandra cries out in rage as Tyuchev turns to help the fallen magician, and she advances quickly to the attack. Now, this is another thing that people have said. In a fight, if you wound someone, that's two people you take out of the fight. The person you wounded and the person who stops fighting to look after him. This means that momentarily we're in a fair fight. Allegedly. And we get a second picture. Don't worry, at least 2 of the 3 pictures you've seen so far will be in the episode thumbnail. And I think we know which 2. It probably won't be the wanted poster. Actually, I might try and sneak that in as well to make it really obvious. With the agility of a spider monkey, that's the wrong section. That's high up the page. I was looking at the picture. Yeah, let's just ignore that as it involves a skill we don't have. So, also a spider monkey sounds scary. As you move quickly away from Tyuchev and Thaum and towards... Sorry, there's no as. You move quickly away from Tyuchev and Thaum and towards Cassandra. She crouches, waiting like a cat for you to move, her sword glowing coldly with evil magic. Will you try the dragon's tail throw, the forked lightning strike kick, or the iron fist punch? Cassandra is an experienced warrior. She doesn't care much for her equipment. Her armour always looks like a hodgepodge of pieces that were not designed to be worn together, and is often described as rusty across the various appearances throughout the books. Her sword, however, is magical, and the blade unnaturally cold, gleaming with cold magic. Interestingly, in the full-colour illustrated French editions, she's completely unrecognisable. For some reason, the artist saw fit to give her black hair, whereas the impression we get from the classic illustrations is more that her hair is a dark brown or red that kind of complements the lighter rusty tone of the rest of her armour. Now, she is an experienced warrior. She's in a fighting crouch, low. If we try to punch her, if we walk up and punch her, she'll kind of be used to that. She's got a sword. She could take a swing at our arm as we come in. If we try to kick her, the forked lightning strike is 2 kicks, 1 to the body, 1 to the head. Her arms are kind of in front of her body. If we try to throw her, the dragon's tail throw is the one where we get down on the ground, like a power slide. Get 1 leg between hers, 1 leg outside, and scissor to throw her off balance. That is a very unorthodox fighting technique she probably hasn't encountered before. So let's try it. Although this crouching stance would give you the impression that might not be good. Let's see how it goes. You surprise Cassandra by sliding feet first across the floor, and your legs scythe the panther-like warrior woman to the ground. As she tries to twist aside, you roll on top of her, pinning her to the cold floor of the cellar and drive your fist into the side of her head. She screams and goes rigid. You roll away and leap to your feet as Tyuchev attacks. Turn to 281. Oh dear God, here we go. Wish me luck, everybody. Oh, 281. Even as Cassandra tumbles to the floor, Tyuchev is manoeuvring to strike you. When he does, you parry again and again as the point of his sword stabs at you from left and right, high and low. He feints at your leg, then raises the tip of his sword towards your chest. Your defense, as you try to block with your arm guards, is 7. If you fail to parry his sword, it pierces your lung, lose 8 endurance. Okay. That 8 endurance is fine when I'm on 20 endurance points, but we're not out of the woods yet. Now, this is explicitly called out as blocking. Your defense as you try to block with your arm guards. However, we're not in regular combat. I'm not sure if we can use the block skill. The fact that it's blatantly called out as blocking suggests that we can, but I believe this is narrative rather than mechanical. Although if he hits me, I'm blatantly going to try that block roll. Okay. So I have a defense of 7. He rolls a 10. Okay, I'm trying to block. I don't want to die. Oh, shit, we're screwed. I think we're dead. I think we're actually dead and are losing the entire episode here right now. Not because of this. Just to be clear. All I can say is, ow! If you are still alive, as Cassandra rises groggily to her feet, you leap back and are about to begin a series of kicks and punches when the left-hand wall of the cellar caves in with a thunderclap and dust fills the room. Turn to 404. Universal Internet error message number. Ow. I think we're dead now, by the way. We're gonna go into a really hard fight with only 8 endurance points, and we might not make it. But Raph, I hear you say, you've got 12. Yeah, I won't have by the time the fight starts. Because if I go into that fight with 12 endurance, I'm really not going to make it. Something slithers heavily into the dust-filled room out of a dark crypt under the Church of Nil. It seems to be 10 feet tall, but much longer. As it approaches, you make out a hideous human face with a gaping hole surrounded by feeding tendrils for a mouth. It has 4 arms and the body of a gigantic, bloated centipede. A wicked scorpion's tail dangles a vicious barb just behind the awful head. Tyuchev cries out, "Spawn of the Void! It is Mardol, the son of Nil!" And, before going any further, it is also the cover picture. You notice the tentacles are missing from around the mouth. Yeah, well, the artist can't do everything. As you stand, transfixed by horror, the unnatural fiend moves towards Thaum. He casts a spell and a ball of flame leaves his hand, erupting into a fireball which withers the scorpion tail of the son of Nil. It bellows so loudly that you are temporarily deafened. Cassandra scrabbles at the bolt of the oaken door, and Tyuchev and Thaum retreat to the far wall. Tyuchev throws the scrolls of Kettsuin to the floor, hoping the creature will stop for them. Cassandra tears the door open, runs through, and shuts it behind her. A part of the wall revolves before Tyuchev, and he steps through into a tunnel beyond. Thaum turns at the last, and you see that he is completely changed. He has polymorphed himself into the exact likeness of a priest of Nil, Mouth of the Void. He wears a black cloak mottled with brown like a python, and the hood looks like a python's head. He points at you and says, "Kill this desecrator, O Great One! This assassin has sworn to return our great god to the void!" With this, he vanishes and the wall grinds back into place. You rush to the oak-panelled door, but Cassandra has jammed it shut with something. You must face the son of Nil alone. Having already taken 8 points of damage from Tyuchev. I just want to say ow again. The hideous spawn of Nil moves ponderously towards you, its withered tail jerking forwards occasionally, throwing black gobbets of poison that hiss and steam when they hit the floor. Its mouth yawns wide and the tendrils writhe. If you have a shuriken and would like to use it, I have none. If you are skilled with poison needles and wish to use one, I lack the skill and lack the equipment. If you would prefer to use any item you may have picked up on your travels, yes, any item, any other item at all, or we could just use martial arts. No, I'll go with the item route, even though it's going to hurt even more. If you possess either a gleaming sunstar ring or a crystal that holds a drop of blue water within it, you may use one if you wish. If you will not or cannot use either, you will have to rely on your martial arts as the hideous monster bears down upon you. I shall use the sunstar ring and invoke the word Rahelios. And may Quan the tiger have mercy on our soul. You point the ring at the horror from the void and shout, Rahelios! The gleaming sunstar ring explodes in your face. Lose 4 endurance points. The magician must have told you the wrong magical word of command. But if you are still alive, you see that a sunstar has erupted from the ring as you intended and blasted a great hole in Mardal's chest and withered his scorpion tail. Again. The unnatural fiend bellows deafeningly and towers over you. You will have to rely on your martial arts. Turn to 301, but note that Mardal's endurance is reduced by 12 whole points of damage. As is ours. Okay. The monster lunges at you with its powerful taloned hands. You decide that it is impossible to throw the many-legged beast. Will you use the Iron Fist Punch, the Leaping Tiger Kick, or, if you have played Book 1 Avenger and learned this kick, Quan's Flail? Now, I'm going to let you in on a little secret here. The Quan's Flail kick will be effective against this beast. In that, I believe he'll have a slightly lower defense against it. However, we will have to stand so close to him to execute it that our defense against his follow-up attack will be unbelievably low. I cannot afford it. Maybe as a finisher, if things are going really, really well. Maybe then. Just one moment. That's much better. Sorry, that thing had been bothering me for ages. I will, however, go for the Leaping Tiger Kick. He's got 4 arms. Is that wise? I'll give it a try anyway. And then we shall reveal just how many endurance points he has. We took away a lot of them. Oh, shows. Yes. Oh, God. I should not have gone for the kick. I should have gone for the punch. I should have gone for the punch. 2 dice of damage. We are so screwed. Right. Throwing caution to the wind, you leap kick and try to drive your heel into your natural horror's gaping maw as it strikes with each of its arms in succession. This is do or die. This is use one of our last 2 points of inner force moment. Not that it can end the fight, but it can really help. Mardal started with 30 endurance points. Having lost 12, he has now been reduced to a mere 18, meaning we cannot kill him with a single kick. But we can certainly try, and our defense against him as he retaliates will only be 5. Oh, God. This is not good. This is where, if I was clever, I'd blatantly, cut the episode, record multiple versions. Guess what? I can't clear the dice roll history. I'd have to set up a new dice room, and it would be a little obvious. I shouldn't have said that. Oh, now I'm going to jinx it. So, let's go for our kick. With inner force. 2d6 plus 1. Please give me a number. Yes, a 9. That hits. Excellent. So we're going to go for our d6 plus 2 damage for the kick. 4 points. That's not great. That takes him down to... That turns into 8, knocks him down to 10 endurance. Oh god, that means we're going to have to kick again to finish. If Mardal still lives, he tries to catch you and then dash you to the floor with all his godlike strength. Your defense against him is 5. Ow. Just saying. He rolled a 10. That blatantly hit us. I'm going to have to block. But why? Because he'll just hit us anyway. For fuck's sake, yes. We blocked! Oh, thank goodness. Oh, my God. Because he would have done 8 points of damage and killed us off. Look, there was a very good chance of him getting 8 on 2 dice, okay, so I had to. We block. We are not hit. That means we're going to get -2 on our attack next time. If you survive this attack, you may now use the Iron Fist, the Cobra Strike Punch, or if you've played Avenger and learned this, Quan's Kick. Wait, a choice of punches. Okay, the Iron Fist is a straightforwards punch. The Cobra Strike is a chop downwards. Which one makes us the most vulnerable? For the chop, we'll need to be a little closer, because we're not hitting with the finger, we're hitting with the side of the hand. It's the elbow isn't quite as straight. I'll go for the Iron Fist punch, which I think was the original punch we were given, wasn't it? For this attack, I will not use Inner Force. Darting forward, you slam your fist towards the chest of the Colossus as it bends over you, trying to gather you up in its many arms. His defense against the Iron Fist is 8. We are rolling 2d6. +1, -2, so -1. With a 9, we land a blow against all the odds. So let's get our 1d6 damage in there, 3 points. That 3 takes him down to 7, which means if we survive his next attack, a kick within a force could end this. If Mardal lives, your defense against his grasping arms is 7, and we may very well need to block. Let's see how this goes. That's a 9, we have to block. That's an 8, that's really bad news. Let's get some damage. 7! We have 1 endurance point remaining. This is it. Do or die. If you survive his attack, Quan's Flail Kick. With Inner Force. It's all we've got left. With a -2 kick modifier. As Mardal's many arms sweep the air, claws extended, you turn away and then whip your leg around and up into the gruesome torso with all your power. Mardal's defense against Quan's Flail Kick is 6! Perhaps I shouldn't have said that, because I don't want to jinx it. Oh, for fuck's sake. And we wasted our last point of Inner Force. Oh my god. If Mardal still lives, he tries to rake your back before you leap away. Your defense is 7 and you may not block. In which case... luck. He rolled a 6. He rolled a 6. May not block is really bad. But we've wasted our last point of Inner Force. We really needed that to hit. Okay. He has 7 points left. We can kill him with a kick that does 5 damage. What was our defense when he... The leaping tiger kick, I think our defense against him was only 6. I'm going to blatantly check because it was a few minutes ago. Why am I even writing this down? It's just scrolled down a little to a couple of pages. Our defense is 5. So yeah, kicking, bad. Punching, good. Quan's flail kick, if we can pull it off, great. But as a finisher. So, the Cobra Strike punch or the Iron Fist punch. We'll go with the Cobra Strike punch because it's different and we didn't do it before. The waving of Mardol's forearms is fascinating. Oh shit, we should have gone with the Iron Fist punch. Is fascinatingly and disturbingly bizarre as he claws the air, questing for your fragile body. You give ground, then lunge quickly with a Cobra Strike jab. His defense against the Cobra Strike is a 7. We did not block, so we are getting our full attack bonus here. That's a 9, that's a hit. Our damage is 3 whole points. He is reduced to 4 endurance points, and my goodness, we're flying by the seat of our pants here. Right, if Mardol still lives, your defense against his questing arms is 6. Ow! Let's do it. That's a 5. He missed. He really missed. Quallen's flail kick for the finisher. As long as we can roll a 2 for damage, we win. And his defense is the lowest. As Mardol's many arms sweep the air, claws extended, you turn away and then whip your leg around and up into the gruesome torso with all your power! Mardol's defense against the Quan's flail kick is a 6. And we're getting our full attack modifier here. For fuck's sake! Rolls hates me tonight. It really does. Come on, come on. That's bullshit. That is absolute bullshit. I should not have done enter up enter. I should have typed it in manually. Because now, look, now he'll just roll his attack and fucking kill us. And we say block and he still kills us. No, I'm not having that. I could record the whole separate episode again, but no, fuck it. You know what? I'm going to give myself one more chance here because this is really nasty. I'll type it all out for our attack. And we'll say that I should not have used the keyboard shortcuts. And we fucking kick his head in with a double 6. Sorry, a 5 and a 1 plus 1 is 6. Look, guys, honestly, if I'd... Oh, God. Now, the best way this could have gone for us would be to not get hit by Tyuchev for 8 points of damage at section 281. Because that would have allowed this fight to go on about as long as it has and for us to get hit a few times and take some damage. That 8 points of damage means that this fight is basically on sudden death mode. If we had not used the Sunstar Ring and we'd gone into this with 12 endurance and Mardol had 30, we probably wouldn't have stood a chance. And yeah, I could just record the whole session again and try and hide it, but fuck it. I'm having that dice roll. That was just... There've been some bad rolls this session. Statistically, not entirely bad. I mean, these are pretty random average rolls. And the amount of times Mardol missed when he had a good chance of hitting were good. But in all honesty, yeah, fuck it. We're staggering away from this on 1 endurance point. We are totally screwed anyway, right? Yeah, I could record the entire episode again. I don't feel like it. I think it's been enjoyable enough already and I don't fancy doing it all again at 2:28 in the morning. You have defeated Mardol, the great son of Nil, even if it feels like you cheated, you cunt. He is not dead, but as you prepare to attack again, his form seems to crumble. Parts of his very being drop away, dissolving to nothing before they hit the floor. Each crumbling piece leaves behind a blackness so deep that it is almost blinding. Mardol is returning piece by piece to the void, and the void has come to orb. Soon there is no trace of the unnatural fiend, save a statue of absolute nothingness, a black gateway to the void. You have unwittingly opened a doorway from the void to orb, but there is nothing you can do about it now. Something moves in the darkness of the subterranean precincts of the temple, and you decide to abandon any thoughts of reward from the priestesses of Illustra. One who has mastered the way of the tiger has no use for gold other than to give it to the poor. A goblet of black poison is all that remains of Mardol, the most virulent poison of all, blood of Nil. You gingerly scrape it from the floor into a small glass phial. Note this on your character sheet. We have replenished our missing blood of Nil, which we used in the first book, to slay Honoric, captain of the Legion of the Sword of Doom, or commander of the Legion of the Sword of Doom, rather. We won't be keeping it by the end of the book. There's two ways we can lose it, and we have to... They're both unavoidable. You know, whichever way you go, you're going to hit one of them. Then you turn back to the oak-panelled doorway and manage at last to open it, finding one of Cassandra's daggers, which she had used to wedge it shut as you do so. You slip it into your pack and walk warily up the staircase. No, warily, not wearily. Right. The Sunstar ring has exploded. We no longer have it. Perhaps, if we had removed the Sunstar ring from our equipment list, our dice rolls may have been slightly more fortunate. As it is, we are on the brink of death. I don't feel good about that reroll there. I think I deserved it. I didn't want to try and record the episode a whole load of times to... Otherwise it'd be... Yeah, or just go, okay guys, look, I'll replay the whole book up to this point. You will see maybe I'm missing a few endurance points from the fight with the brigands on the road. And hey, it's not like Blood of the Zombies from Fighting Fantasy, where there are an insane amount of unavoidable 50-50 auto-kill rolls. It's like so many auto-kills in that book are roll a die. If you get a 4+, you live. If you roll a 1 to 3, you die. And they are unavoidable plot points. You would have to have such an incredible string of good luck to make it through that book. It is unbelievable. As you enter the streets of Harif Siva Crow once more, you cast your gaze back to the brooding temple with its unfathomable frescoes of strange monsters made of beaten copper, greened by the rains of centuries. You hurry quickly from the city of Harif before the servants of Nil realize that you have killed the son of their god, pausing only to stop an Illustran priestess to ask of the nearest ports on the shores of the Endless Sea. She tells you that one of the nearest ports is Ulrich's Haven on the great valley reaches, which pour their cold waters out into that sea. It lies northwest of Harif, but she warns you that it is peopled by buccaneers and barbarian coastal raiders. To the west lies the city of Wargrave Abbas on the shores of the Endless Sea itself, which she tells you is a wealthy trading port, but also a place where there are many training schools for mercenary soldiers. You thank her and leave the city while the gate guard is chastising an old woman who has spilt her basket of eggs in the street. If you wish to strike northwest for Ulrich's Haven, turn to section 135. If you prefer to continue west towards Wargrave Abbas, turn to 131. Right, let's think about this for a moment. If we go northwest to Ulrich's Haven, it's full of barbarians and pirates. People who are dishonourable, but who therefore won't expect honour from me either. If we continue west towards... Right, Wargrave Abbas is the town that the Chaos Bringers were banished from for similar atrocities to the ones they have carried out here. So it would make sense to go there because they probably won't follow me there as they are wanted people in that city. However, I'm going to go for Ulrich's Haven for story purposes. And hope I don't regret it. You pass through the town of Burton Abbas and leave the lowlands of the Crow Valley behind. You sleep well in the uplands and you may restore any endurance you have lost. This is a very good reason for travelling in this direction. I think if we go in the other direction we also get a total heal, but I'm taking that right now. I'm also going to presume that that is sleeping more than once. It's not a single night's sleep. After 5 days' travel, and that's why I'm presuming it's more than one night's sleep. After 5 days' travel, the port of Ulrich's Haven lies before you. The city is well defended against attack by sea, but there is no guard on the land gate, so you walk straight to the beach, where a number of large galleys and smaller fishing boats are pulled up on the sand or riding at anchor. When you ask for passage on a ship sailing south, you have a little trouble understanding their uncouth barbarian dialect. But the gist of what they say is that no merchant would be fool enough to send a trading vessel to Ulrich's Haven, where it would be seized and its crew put to death. As you strive to understand the captain of what is obviously a raiding ship, 4 burly men approach with swords drawn. They demand gruffly that you go with them to meet their liege chief. You decide to go along with them, hoping to find out more information from their leader. They seem satisfied that you will give no trouble and say nothing as you walk towards a long wooden building. Inside is a great hall with a large fire burning and a boar roasting above it on a spit. The hall is full of people, and a grizzled old barbarian with a cunning gleam in his eye sits on a wooden throne, his advisers beside him. Your escorts nod their heads in what passes for a bow as they halt before him. Will you bow or stare defiantly at the barbarian overlord? Now, I want to say, the barbarian overlord here looks familiar. I'm kind of thinking Bowser from Scrap Heap Challenge, which this predates, so is there some actor or other that this may be? I am not entirely certain. While he would respect strength from us, I think he would only respect our strength if we were a barbarian, and the fact that his own barbarians bow, yeah, we're going to bow as well, show our respect. It's what he would expect of us as a foreigner. The king's chief advisor, a thin man with a hatchet-shaped face, says, "In the name of Liege Chief Ulrich Skarsang, I command you to identify yourself and to state your business in Ulrich's Haven." Well, will you tell them that you are Avenger, and that you have travelled north to avenge your father? Or refuse to tell them anything other than that you seek to return to your homeland in the south? If we tell them nothing, it will arouse their suspicions. If we tell them that we have travelled north to avenge our father, but do not tell them that we have actually avenged our father and are travelling back down south again, it gives them a plausible story for us being here. Let's go with that, shall we? Because otherwise we'll probably die. Ulrich Skarsang seems satisfied, but the advisor says, "Should we allow a man with blood on his conscience against us, Overlord? He may have fallen into the habit of senseless killing." He questions you further, and you tell him that you have come from the east, but no more. At length, Ulrich tells you that the only ship sailing to the far south from Ulrich's Haven is his personal merchantman, Sack of the South, but that she will not return to port for 10 days. He says that you are welcome to free passage south if you care to wait so long, and indicates that the interview is over. You leave the hall and bed down for the night in an old manger in an empty cowshed. Do you have an opal ring from Avenger, Book 1? This isn't a choice, this is a yes or no. We do indeed have the opal ring from Book 1. which didn't really do anything at the time. However, now it matters. As you settle down to sleep, the opal ring on your finger begins to glow. You look, and the opal seems to grow until it fills the whole of your vision. It clears as if a mist has been blown out of it, and the hatchet face of Ulrich Skarsang's advisor appears, a black whirlpool painted on his right cheek. His brow is furrowed with effort, and his eyes dart questioningly to left and right. "Where are you, stranger?" you hear. "Why can I not see you? The chalice of vision should show you to me. You must be the one, the killer of Mance, the death mage. Where are you?" At length he gives up, and the opal is opaque once more. With a shock, you realize that the advisor reveres Nemesis, and you resolve to pass the night hidden between rocks behind a headland. The morning dawns bright and breezy. You must decide whether to wait 20 days for the sack of the South, the barbarian overlord's merchantman, or to try your luck in Wargrave Abbas. We can stay and get on the ship and die on the ship, not because the sailors kill us, but because of a sea battle. Or we can set out for Wargrave Abbas, which is blatantly where we shall go. Ulrichshaven is soon far behind you as you travel south and then west across the wild terrain towards Wargrave Abbas. Turn to section 131, the same section we would have turned to if we'd gone straight to Wargrave Abbas in the first place, potentially missing a total heal, or there may be one further on. The road to Wargrave Abbas is a long, hard one. You pass through the towns of Chaddy, Steeplefell, and Cheaping Knowe, spending a restful night in each. You may restore any lost endurance, which is good, so the distance we travelled would have been a total heal either way. The road now runs along the banks of the Crow River, and you eagerly increase your pace. Soon you see the fields that surround the city of Wargrave Abbas. The city itself is on an island in the delta of the river. Just north of the gates is a beautiful public garden. Curbing your impatience to see the sea, you decide to sit on a low wooden bench to meditate. To your surprise, a monk bearing the celestial symbol of Quan the Redeemer passes by. You follow him through a stand of rhododendron bushes, and a cloistered monastery comes into sight. You step inside, shed your peasant's garb, and bow deeply to the grandmaster Hardred. You pray in the temple filled with flowers, and your spirit feels lighter. You regain 1 point of inner force, and are incredibly confused by the capitalization of rhododendron. That actually takes us back up to 2 inner force points. At the time, fighting against Mardel, I was not confident enough in my ability to hit to waste... Wait, didn't I waste one on that? I can't remember if I used one on the... I'll go back and check recording sometime after the episode and see if I used one on the Quan's flail kick that missed. Yeah, that was really rough. Telling Hardred of your mission lifts a great weight off your mind. He says he has heard rumours and that he is honoured to have you with him. He tells you that you look a little haggard and suggests that you stay in the monastery while he arranges for passage on a ship sailing south. You accept gracefully, telling him that you would like to call at the port of Tor to see the ranger Lord Glavas, who first told you of the whereabouts of Yaemon, grandmaster of the Flame, if that is possible. Hardred smiles and says that if it is possible, it shall be accomplished. He even suggests that you leave the scrolls of Kettsuin in his care, but you decline, saying that their rightful place is in the Temple of the Rock. Your sleep that night is filled with pleasant dreams of your homeland. And you will notice that when Tyuchev stole the scrolls of Kettsuin from me, I did not remove them from my equipment list because I knew I would get them back or die trying. I also want to say that fighting the brigands or the bagman on the road, the bagman is the Scarlet Mantis ninja disguised as a peasant who tries to lure you into getting a face hugger from aliens stuck on your face because it's in a bag. So after fighting him or the brigands on the road, then fighting Cassandra, Tyuchev and Thaum, then having to fight Mardol, the son of Nil, all three, back to back, with no healing, is an incredibly tough gauntlet to run. I was honestly expecting the fight with Mardol to go 1 or 2 rounds shorter, or for me to just die to his first hit. And given the amount of dice rolls and luck that went into getting that far, it really felt like a great shame to end then. Right. You spend 2 very... You know what? You know what? I'm going to pretend right now, I'm going to punish myself for that. I'm going to say, because of that, I don't get to use Quan Redeem Me in this adventure at all. Now, there's an upcoming opportunity to use it. And I'm trying to remember how to avoid that. Okay, well, we'll do what we can. Right. And it is the best time to use it in the entire adventure, the most effective time. And we'll say I used it because he literally... I think we do have an opportunity to possibly try and use it in Mardol's presence, and it just fails completely. I don't think we're actually given the opportunity this time. You spend 2 very pleasant days in the gardens of the monastery where the children of the city dwellers come to play. You talk to the monks and learn of the city of Wargrave Abbas. It has a strong mercenary tradition. Young men and women come from lands far away to learn the skills of swordplay taught by the worshippers of Dharma, shield maiden of the gods. Dharma stands opposite of the evil war god Vash Ro in the Garden of the Gods, and it is she whom Honoric, the captain of the Legion of the Sword of Doom, sought to imprison in the Inferno when he undertook his journey towards the Pillars of Change with Yaemon, Grandmaster of the Flame. Wargrave is also a thriving trading port, exporting grain and wool to southern lands. One thing only strikes a sour note. The assassins who revere Toromalku the Slayer have long had a guild where anyone may go to put a price on the head of an innocent man. The worshippers of Toromalku, swift sure bringer of death to beggar and king, care nothing for life or for death, only for the artistry with which they kill. They pride themselves that few who are brought to their attention live for long, if the price is right. It is their law that none save members of their guild may use poison for any purpose. And we have used poison in the past, as a ninja. Resting in the shade of a plane tree, you muse on the quirk of fate that left you an orphan to be brought up to the worship of Quan. You have never known any other god, yet there are many on Orb. You despise the assassins who worship Toromalku because they kill for money, not to rid the world of evil, yet you have killed many times without a qualm, just as they would kill you if they were paid to. If you would like to leave your poison in the monastery and visit the temple of Toromalku the Slayer to talk to Mandrake, the guild master of assassins, you may be able to learn new skills, or you may prefer to relax in the quiet of the gardens. Look, the Temple of Quan taught us the ninja skills we need to know. The assassins have a different tradition. If those were skills we were supposed to know, the monks in the Temple of Quan would have taught us those skills. There must be a reason we have not learned them. let us not go into the Assassin's Guild. Just march in and say hello. Probably not a good idea. As you sit cross-legged, musing on the ways of the world, you catch sight of the bald head of one of the monks. He rounds a large magnolia tree and walks towards you, smiling a greeting. It is Hardred, the grandmaster at the Temple of Quan. "A ship?" you ask hopefully. Hardred nods his head and reaches inside his brown habit. Something about him seems different today, perhaps his carriage, or the way he has tied the knot at the front of his habit. Will you risk upsetting him, reacting as if he were an assassin, or reflect that your thoughts of Tauramalku the Slayer have made you nervous and merely stay alert? I'm going to react as if he was an assassin, because if we do not react, and just imagine we're getting a bit nervous and suspicious, we would have to use Quan Redeem Me to survive the upcoming incident. It's the best time to use it in the book, but if we had to rely on it at this point, that would mean we do not have one of these skills, which would mean we would have taken a lot of damage earlier in the adventure. So we will react as if he was an assassin, because he is. What will you do as the smiling Hardred approaches? Use a poison needle if you have that skill? Nope. Call upon Quan the Redeemer if you have not done so already. If you are a skilled acrobat, you may wish to leap upwards and grab an overhanging branch to pull yourself into the tree, hurl a shuriken at his leg, we don't have one, or simply roll to one side and stand up. That may be risky, he may be prepared for that. You know what? Quan Redeem Me. Throw it in there. Okay, so here's what we do, right? Here's what we do. We reflect on our thoughts that Tauramalku the Slayer have made us nervous and merely stay alert, instead of reacting as if he was an assassin. I clearly forgot which option I should choose there. It's been a long time. Instead of a pass into a trading ship, Hardred produces a throwing dagger which is flying to your heart before you can even recognise it for what it is. He throws too quickly for it to be Hardred. If you have the skill of arrow cutting, we do. It is therefore not an auto kill, as he would blatantly kill us and introduce himself as... So yes, if you do not, this is the last thought you have as the dagger pierces your heart. The blade is grooved and covered in venom, but the steel alone has done its work. As you die, Hardred bows and says, "Mandrake, Guildmaster of Assassins, at your service, ninja. Honoric will be pleased, for he still lives, ninja, in spite of your efforts. You have failed. We have the skill of arrow cutting, and it will save our life. It will have the same effect as calling upon Quan to redeem us." Man, I'm having a rough episode this time, aren't I? Oh well, let's just enjoy it anyway. Faster than thought, your arm knocks the hurtling dagger aside in a reflex motion practiced many thousand times. The man posing as Hardred gapes for a moment, then turns to run. You follow, but the gardener with whom you exchanged pleasantries this morning emerges from behind the magnolia tree, blocking your way. On the steps of the temple, the real Hardred beckons urgently. You run to him, but he says, "Gently, but yes, good news. A ship sails for Tor on the evening tide. I can vouch for the master." You look around, but the impostor has fled and the gardener is nowhere to be seen, implying the gardener was a second assassin in on the task. Well now. Hardred takes you inside the monastery and you tell him what has happened. It becomes obvious to him that Mandrake, a master of disguise, has been commissioned to murder you. You waste no time in hurrying with an armed escort to the port where a sleek merchantman, the winged serpent, rides at anchor. Hardred gives you a parting gift of 5 shuriken and says he will pray for you daily. He tells you the ship will take you to Lemni on the Island of Plenty, where many worship Eo, the god of peace and well-being. You thank him and thank Quan before concealing yourself below deck. We now have 5 throwing stars once again. I'm going to end the episode here. I'm not sure if the ship will drop us off where we can meet the Ranger Glavis, but he did say if it was possible it would be done. So technically I cheated twice this episode. One was a little cheat because I'd just forgotten which section I needed to take the route that would make me do the thing I'd said I'd do and not use Quan redeem me. The other one was a bigger cheat because I just got frustrated after like missing 2 or 3 attacks in a row and was like, okay, look, the enemy's just going to hit me and kill me, and I pointed that out. So yeah, there we go. It saves me playing through the whole book again up to this point. Even if I didn't record the playthrough and just picked it up, that would basically just be me ending an episode, then starting up again as if I, in the same situation with a different dice roll, which feels even more like cheating than just presenting it a bit more honestly. I hope you guys can forgive me. I imagine many of you may have done the same in my situation, possibly earlier with less patience. But we shall see. Alright, well thank you all very much for watching, and I will see you in the next episode, where we will continue, or possibly even complete this adventure. Alright. Goodbye for now, everybody, and may your Sunstar rings never explode on your finger. See you all next time.